Hey there, this is Lucas Seipp-Williams, and I created this video to answer the question, what can human design do for you? This is for you if you're curious about human design, if you're considering signing up for a reading with me. I hope that this helps you make that decision. So let me know if you have any questions after watching this, and also if you'd like to sign up for a reading. So human design, it's a energetic blueprint. You could think of it like a user manual for your life and how to navigate your life. So it answers a lot of questions. How you're designed to engage in life, to meet the right people at the right time, to make decisions, to get your needs met, to give your gifts and have them be appreciated, to fulfill your unique life purpose. It also answers the question of what your unique life purpose is. What are your skills, strengths, and potentials? What role are you meant to play in relationships? Which motivations are correct for you? Which are false? Which work environments and dynamics are healthiest for you, where you can thrive and make a good living? Where you're susceptible to getting mentally off track or emotionally overwhelmed, and a whole lot more. In addition to individual design, so we start with individual design, that's your foundation. If you resonate with this work, you also can get a design for every relationship that you have and every group that you operate in, small groups and large groups. They all have a design, and you have a unique way of relating to each individual person as well as any group that you're in. And you can learn to navigate them all better. Human design, of course, also is incredibly powerful and a great gift that we can give to the children in our lives to understand their uniqueness at an incredibly deep and level and with great accuracy, so we can really relate to them as themselves and provide that respect and that space for them to be themselves instead of being conditioned to think they need to be someone else. In my experience, human design is the most accurate and comprehensive typology system. This is my human design, by the way. It's a synthesis and evolution of multiple existing systems. I'll mention what those are. It's completely objective. So whereas many typology systems require your subjective input, answering questions about who you think you are, this is purely objective. It's not a belief system or faith. It's logical and it's empirical. And you'll see for yourself when you get your reading that you can actually verify its accuracy. And then you can also verify the usefulness of its accuracy in the practical application. So I mentioned it's a synthesis of systems. The I Ching, the 64 archetypes and the hexagram format of those archetypes, the Western zodiac, so the Western astrology, essentially. There's an aspect of human design that comes from the Kabbalah, the chakras. So you'll see there's 9 energy centers in human design. Also physics, biology, genetics, it's all synthesized in human design. I mentioned biology. Here's an example where the energy centers all correlate to glands, organs, and systems in the body. I mentioned physics. So the basis of human design, essentially, human design reveals that each one of us receives a unique energetic blueprint, an imprinting that happens at birth, and as well as a second imprinting that happened 90 days before birth. And the imprinting happens via what physicists know and study, which is neutrinos. Neutrinos are these subatomic particles that are streaming through us all the time. They're coming from the stars. Essentially, this is the programming agent of the universe. And physicists believed originally, when they first theorized about the neutrino, that it was pure energy. And what they've discovered somewhat recently is that they actually carry mass, they carry information. So we received this genetic imprinting. I mentioned that there's 2 sets of genetic imprinting. So 90 days or roughly 90 days before you're born, we receive the imprinting of our unconscious and our bodies. And that's what is in red in the human design. And then the moment you take your first breath, you receive imprinting from the neutrino stream that gives you your unique personality, your conscious and your mind. And that's the black or the dark gray. Human design does match what we know about genetics. So there are 64 hexagrams, 64 archetypes in human design, and you get imprinting. Either you have them imprinted or not, and they're either conscious or unconscious. Those 64 hexagrams match the 64 codons and the 6 groups of amino acids that make up our DNA. So just to kind of walk you through and show you the level of depth in regards to your uniqueness, your differentiation. We each receive 26 activations. So if you count these little boxes, there's 13 on each side. So 13 unconscious and 13 conscious. And these sets of activations are influenced by the 13 planets or planetary imprints. They're not all planets. And of course, one set is conscious and one is unconscious. And then there are the 64 gates that I mentioned, but we don't have all 64 activated. They're either activated or not. They're defined or not. So you can see in my chart, for instance, I have the 55th gate and it's in the 5th line. Each one of these 64 gates actually has 6 variations. In fact, there's actually over 1,000 variations because there's a whole substructure beneath these lines. But we don't really need to go that deep. The 6 lines is far enough. So I'm a 55-5. And that 55-5 is given to me by the sun. It's the archetype that is my conscious sun. And the 55th gate you see down here is always in the emotional center, pointed at the root. So you have the 55th gate is also in the same location. It's just a question about whether it's actually activated or open, and if it is activated, whether it's conscious or unconscious. So I have the 55th gate, it's hanging out here, and it's a huge part of who I am. It's the gate of spirit. It's my conscious personality. It's a huge part of my life expression. All right. Then there's 36 channels, and those are either defined or not. So if you look here, I have the 63rd gate and I have the 4th gate. And those 63rd and the 4th gate are in opposite ends of a channel, the channel of logic. So I have both ends of that channel, and therefore it turns on the entire channel, and it turns on these 2 centers. So you'll see here I have the head center and the ajna. The reason why they're colored in is because I have a full channel connecting the 2. And you'll see here I have 2 centers that are open. My eldest son has all 9 centers open, and then some human beings have all 9 defined, colored in, and then everything in between. The openness is just as important, if not more important, to understand than the definition. So we have this duality between who you are, your nature, and then who you're not, where you get conditioned or nurtured. So simply put, you are unique, and more unique than you know or ever have known, or maybe you've known that you're incredibly unique, that there's nobody like you and that there never will be anyone like you again. But so maybe you've known that, but you haven't had access to understanding it at the depth that human design can provide. So your design, the promise of human design is that each one of us is designed to thrive as ourselves. What we've been all conditioned to believe from, even the adults in our life were conditioning us unconsciously, our society has conditioned us as well, is that in order to thrive, we have to be more like other people. We have to conform. We have to be homogenized. We need to emulate others. We need to take on the ways of operating and living of our families, of our religion, of our culture, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, there's value to all of that. but not at the expense of our well-being, our sense of self-expression, and our thriving. And really, as far as the tangible benefit of human design, it can be summarized as reducing and eliminating resistance, internal resistance. So to live correctly as yourself is a real opportunity to reduce internal resistance, where you've probably had the experience where if you've ever been in a relationship or an activity or a job that didn't feel true to you or right to you, there's stress that accumulates in our bodies. It's hard on us. You know, if you have to speak in a way that isn't true for you, or anything that doesn't feel true for you or correct, there's internal stress. And then also there's external resistance. You know, if we're trying to be someone we're not in the world, and then we're oftentimes met with resistance. And also the resistance outside of ourselves comes when we don't understand how to relate to other people and respect their individuality. And of course, that's complicated because everyone else is walking around not actually knowing who they are either. So it's all very confusing. And this just helps us bring tremendous amount of clarity through awareness to help us be ourselves and relate to other people as themselves, and thus reducing resistance, reducing stress, reducing friction, more ease, more flow. Something to consider is that all of us, all beings, are part of a larger pattern of life. It's very obvious to us. If you look at a microscope, if you look at your brain under a microscope or any part of your body, you'll see just a phenomenal number of activity and chemical reactions. It's all happening. It's all happening in flow. It's all happening without you consciously controlling it. And then, of course, if you look out at the solar system, the stars, we see that there's this larger pattern, right? That gravity and the rotation of the Earth and the revolution of the Earth around the sun, and it's like hard for us even to get our minds wrapped around it. So we're all part of this larger pattern, and we see that other beings, mammals, insects, birds, they all have their place. And if you think about the migratory species, right? How does a butterfly, or how does this bird know how to make it from the tip of Africa all the way up to the United Kingdom or northern Spain, right? It doesn't have a human brain to know how to do that. Its body actually guides it moment by moment by moment to go to the next location, to move through time and space in a way that's perfect for it. And just consider that we are no different. We just have a human brain that is phenomenal in its ability to understand the world and appreciate life, but it also gets in the way. And so human design helps us get tuned back in for you to understand how you fit into the larger pattern, so that you can move through life with less stress, getting your needs met. The bottom line, be yourself. Let your design do its thing. And how do we do that? We start with a reading, right? We start with a foundational reading. Let's really have you get to know you like you've never known yourself before. So in a reading, for instance, you may be coming to this doing some research online. There's a ton of information out there. What a reading does with someone like me who's been studying this, who's put in thousands and thousands of hours and done hundreds of readings, is I can, in 90 minutes, I can give you the full picture and a synthesis of your design. So we'll cover your type, your strategy, your authority, your definition, your profile, your incarnation cross. And we'll do it in a synthesis so that you don't have to do what I did, which was kind of piece it all together over many different audios and readings and everything I could get my hands on. I'll give it to you in a synthesis. And the best way to learn about human design is what's important to you right now. So for me, that's the context of sharing with you about your design. So when you sign up for a reading, I'll want to know, as much as you're willing to share with me and open to sharing with me, but what's alive for you? What's important? What are your current goals and desires? What are your biggest challenges? What makes you confused about you or your relationships? Where are you stressed or suffering? What's not working in life the way that you'd like it to be? So in a reading, you'll receive practical advice to improve your life immediately while gaining detailed understanding of your human design and how to experiment with living it. Does that sound good? Cool. So your next step, if you're resonating with this, no pressure, by the way, just if you're an authentic yes, is to book a foundational reading. And the way that you do that is by going to my scheduler. At the time of this recording, here's what it looks like. Typically, a foundational reading is going to be 90 minutes. If you're interested in a package for your couple, for instance, or your business partner, something like that, you can let me know. Or you can just go ahead and schedule your Get Started foundational reading. So if I don't give you other instructions via email, you can just sign up for the 90-minute, set your time zone, and then pick your date and time, right? Let's see. So what happens after you schedule? I'll tell you how to make a financial contribution to me and my family. I do have a standard rate. If you can pay that standard rate, it's much appreciated. It's definitely worth it. And at the same time, if you wouldn't be able to afford that, I'm very much open to a sliding scale. So I would rather do the work and have the joy of sharing human design with you and get you this incredibly valuable information, probably the most valuable information I've ever received in my life. I want you to have it. So let's not let money get in the way of us doing this if we both want to do it. And then after you make your contribution, which by the way, it could be a deposit. So if you can make one payment now and then you need to pay me more later, that's fine. Or pay all that you're going to pay me, whatever it may be. I'll send you some foundational videos to watch so we can cover some of the basics so that in our session, we can go farther, we can go deeper, it can be more conversational. And then you'll have your personalized reading. And after the reading, you'll receive video and audio recordings of your session. After the session, if you have any questions about what we covered, anything was unclear or how to apply it was unclear, you just let me know. And then you get on with experimenting with living your design. And in my experience, what you'll start to notice is that resistance is dissolving and your life and relationships will start working more smoothly. That's the promise. There's my family, Rochelle, Noah, Jacob, there's me. I've got them here because, I would do this for free and I have to provide for them. So, anyway, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. It's a real gift to do this work and be able to provide for my family in this way. So just let me know if you have any questions. This is not for everyone. Human design is not for everyone. And working with me is not for everyone. But if you're resonating with this, if you feel like, yeah, I'd love to do this, love to work with Lucas, then I invite you to book your session now. Let's get it going. I look forward to sharing with you. Thank you.